It's funny. It's attraction. It's something we all experience, but it still feels like this big mystery.
Mhm.
I bet we've all had those moments where we're drawn to someone and we just can't put our finger on why.
Right.
And for this deep dive, you wanted to go beyond just the typical types we hear about
Yes.
and really get down into the science behind attraction,
Yeah.
this really fundamental human experience.
Absolutely. And I think what makes it so fascinating is that attraction isn't just some whimsical feeling.
Wow.
There's
Yeah.
an entire symphony of biology, psychology, and evolution all happening behind the scenes.
Okay, so let's unpack that. Where do we even begin with all of that? I mean,
Yeah.
is it all about those butterflies you feel in your stomach?
Well, those butterflies are definitely part of it, and they're largely thanks to this neurotransmitter called dopamine.
Dopamine. Okay.
Yeah, so you see, when we encounter someone we find attractive, our brain gets flooded with dopamine,
Okay.
which, as you probably know, is associated with pleasure and reward.
That makes sense. It's like our brain's giving us a little reward for finding a potential mate.
Exactly.
But dopamine's not acting alone here, is it?
No, not at all. It's more like a chemical cocktail.
Okay.
Oxytocin, often called the love hormone, also comes into play, fostering those feelings of closeness and connection.
So is oxytocin the reason we feel so bonded to someone that we're attracted to?
Exactly. It's actually the same hormone that plays a key role in bonding between mothers and their babies,
Oh, wow.
but it also works its magic in romantic relationships.
Interesting.
And then there's serotonin, which contributes to feelings of calm and contentment.
So it's a whole team of neurochemicals working together to create that feeling of attraction.
It really is.
But this whole intricate dance of chemicals isn't just random, is it?
No,
I'm guessing there's got to be some evolutionary reason behind it all.
you're absolutely right. If we kind of zoom out and look at the bigger picture here, we can see the fingerprints of evolution all over our preferences.
So you're saying that our ancestors' dating choices are somehow influencing who we are attracted to today?
In a way, yes. It all boils down to this concept of genetic fitness,
Okay.
which basically means the ability to survive and reproduce and pass on your genes to the next generation.
Okay.
So we might be subconsciously drawn to certain traits that signal good health and strong genes,
I see.
even if we're not consciously aware of it.
That's really insightful. It makes you wonder what our ancestors would think of modern dating apps.
It really does.
But let's stick with evolution for a moment. You mentioned something about facial symmetry earlier.
Yes.
Is that why we find symmetrical faces more appealing?
Well, there's evidence to suggest that's the case. Evolutionarily speaking, facial symmetry can be a sign of developmental stability,
Mm-hmm.
meaning the individual has weathered environmental stressors and developed properly. It's like a subtle advertisement for good genes. That's fascinating. I'd never considered that before. It's like our brains are wired to pick up on these really subtle cues, even if we don't realize it.
Mm-hmm.
But wait, didn't you mention something about smell earlier?
Ah, yes, pheromone.
Pheromones.
Yeah, it's still a bit of a controversial topic,
Okay.
but there is some really intriguing research out there suggesting that we might be subconsciously attracted to people
Mm-hmm.
with different immune systems
Really?
than our own.
So even our noses are involved in this whole intricate dance of attraction.
It seems so. The theory is that by choosing a partner with a different set of immunity genes,
Okay.
we increase the chances of having offspring with a stronger, more diverse immune system.
That's incredible. It's like this hidden world of biological matchmaking going on beneath the surface.
Yeah.
But I'm guessing there's more to attraction than just good genes and compatible immune systems.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
What about the psychological factors that are at play here? Yeah, absolutely. Psychology plays a huge role. One well-established concept is similarity attraction,
Okay.
which is the idea that we tend to be drawn to people who share our values, interests, backgrounds.
So that old saying, birds of a feather flock together,
Yeah.
actually has some scientific backing.
It really does. Think about it. Shared values can create this foundation of understanding and compatibility.
Yeah.
It's just easier to connect with someone who sees the world in a similar way.
That's true. But what about the whole opposites attract idea?
Yeah.
I mean, isn't there some truth to that?
Yeah, there's definitely a nuance to it. While shared values are important, a bit of difference can really spice things up
Okay.
and create a more dynamic relationship where each person brings something unique to the table.
Yeah.
So it's not so much that opposites attract, but that they can kind of complement each other
I see.
within a framework of shared values.
So it's like finding that balance between similarity and difference.
Exactly. Imagine a couple. One person is very adventurous and spontaneous, and the other is more cautious and methodical.
Mm-hmm.
They might challenge each other to step outside their comfort zones, but ultimately their core values are aligned.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's like they each bring something different to the table, and together they create this more well-rounded whole.
Right.
This reminds me of another interesting aspect of attraction, the role of proximity.
Mm-hmm.
We often hear those stories of people falling for their classmates or coworkers
Yeah.
or even their neighbors.
It's true. The power of proximity is undeniable. The more time we spend around someone, the more familiar they become.
Yeah.
And familiarity often breeds liking.
So it's not necessarily about some grand romantic destiny, but simply about being in the right place at the right time.
In a way, yes. Repeated exposure creates a sense of comfort and connection.
Right.
And this principle even applies in our digital age.
Oh, really?
Think about online dating or social media. These platforms create a kind of digital proximity,
Oh, interesting.
allowing us to interact with people we might never have met otherwise. That's a really interesting point. So we've got biology, evolution, and psychology all intertwined in this complex web of attraction.
Right.
But we can't forget about the influence of society and culture, can we?
No, we can.
I mean, what's considered attractive in one culture might be seen completely differently in another.
Exactly. Social and cultural influences play a huge role in shaping our perceptions of beauty and desirability. For example, in some cultures, a curvy figure is considered highly attractive, while in others, a more slender physique is the ideal.
And what about things like makeup and fashion? It seems like those play a big role in shaping our perceptions of attractiveness as well.
Absolutely. The media also plays a powerful role, constantly bombarding us with images of what's considered beautiful. It's important to be aware of these influences and to remember that beauty is subjective and diverse.
Wow, it's amazing to think about how all these factors come together,
Right.
from our biology to the culture we're immersed in,
Yeah,
all shaping what we find attractive.
it really is.
It makes you realize there's no one-size-fits-all formula when it comes to attraction.
Exactly. And that's part of what makes it so fascinating. It really is a deeply personal experience, influenced by this really unique blend of nature and nurture.
So if someone's out there, and they're trying to figure out why they're attracted to someone,
Yeah.
is there any point in overthinking it? Should they just trust their gut?
I think that's a pretty good approach. Trying to dissect every little detail might take away from the magic a bit.
That makes sense. It's like when you try to explain a joke. Sometimes it's better just to enjoy the laugh. But after learning all this, understanding the science behind attraction, does that take away from the mystery at all?
I don't think so at all. In fact, I think it makes it even more extraordinary.
Right.
Knowing that our bodies and minds are orchestrating this intricate dance of hormones,
Yeah.
evolutionary cues, and personal preferences,
Right.
it's truly remarkable.
I love that perspective. It's like we've peeked behind the curtain, seen all the gears turning. But it hasn't taken away from the beauty of the performance at all. If anything, it's made it even more awe-inspiring.
Exactly. And ultimately, there's still an element of the unknown
Right.
when it comes to attraction. That spark, that ignites between two people. You just can't fully explain it or predict it.
So I guess what we've learned is this. For all of you out there who are curious about the whys and hows of attraction, it's this really captivating blend of science and serendipity.
Yeah.
So embrace the mystery, trust your instincts, and just enjoy the journey.
Well said. And never stop exploring. The world of human connection is full of surprises.
That's so true. Well, thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the fascinating world of attraction. Until next time, keep those brains firing and those hearts open.